Hello, dear listeners. This is your favorite storyteller and hopeless romantic, Gwen Fairfax. You are welcome to my creative heaven where I bring you the best of my imagination, take your mind away from the troubles of the world, and tame your heart with fiction, romance, and drama. This is your first time stopping on this safe space, you are most welcome. I promise that you will love it here. But if you are an oldie but goodie, thank you for your continuous support and love. You are loved and appreciated. Please like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Buckle your seatbelts as we take a ride on another amazing episode of your favorite story, Unappreciated Treasure. Enjoy. Hank held Chelsy's hand, and they walked over to a special spot where himself and Daniel usually sat down whenever they visited the kebab spot. Wow! Is this where we are having our date? Chelsy asked with eyes glittering with happiness. Hank looked at Chelsy and nodded with a smile. Phew. Here I was thinking you were taking me to one of those high-end restaurants. Thank God. Hank raised an eyebrow and asked, Don't you like it here? If not, we can go somewhere else. Before he could continue, Chelsy quickly interrupted. No, Hank. That's not what I meant. I love it here. I am happy you brought me here. Do you know that I have been here before? My teammates and I were here some weeks back. I really enjoyed the kebab here. Hank let out a sigh of relief. Before he could say anything, an elderly man in his mid or late 50s walked in with a tray of beef and shrimp kebab. He placed the tray on the table and rubbed Hank's hair. Hello, Hanks, he said with a smile. Hank smiled back and greeted the man with so much reverence in his voice. Hello, Uncle Sandy. Old Santiago was best friends with Clement Fitzwilliam, Hank's father. He loved adding an S to Hank's name because he said Hank was just basic and adding S to the name made it sound more Italian. Clement Fitzwilliam was one of those few wealthy men who didn't base friendship on status and wealth. He met Santiago in Italy when he was studying and they became best friends. When old Santiago moved to London and opened his kebab restaurant, Clement Fitzwilliam was his #1 client as he made it a tradition to go there every Friday with Hank and Daniel. Old Santiago looked at Chelsy and then asked Hank, Hanks? And who is this beautiful señorita with you today? Hank had never brought a woman there before. So this piqued old Santiago's curiosity. Hank said with a smile plastered on his face, Uncle Santy. Meet Chelsy Powers, a very special friend of mine. He then turned to Chelsy and said, Chelsy, meet old Santiago. Call him Uncle Santy. He is family. Chelsy stood and extended her hand towards old Santiago. Hello, sir. The pleasure is all mine. Old Santiago took Chelsy's hand into his and smiled. It's nice meeting you, señorita. Hope you enjoy yourselves. Santiago gave Hank a wink and muttered to Hank, Hank's my boy. You indeed have great eyes for beauty like your father. He gave one last smile to Chelsy and left their table. Hank turned to Chelsy and told her the kebab spot used to be his father's favorite spot, and how he took him and Daniel there every Friday when he was still alive. But after he passed away, he and Daniel seldom went there. Chelsy pressed her lips together and said in a soft voice, I am so sorry to hear about your dad, Hank. Hank lifted his eyes from his plate and looked at Chelsy. It's okay, Chelsy. It happened more than 8 years ago. I am getting used to it. Hank let out a heavy sigh and said, On a lighter note, little fairy, I would like to know more about you. Chelsy raised her eyebrows and let out a little smirk. Hank, I think you already know everything there is to know about me. My name is Chelsy Powers. I am 25 years old and I work at Maximilian Holdings. Anything else, sir? Corners of Hank's mouth rose into a little smile and he replied, Well, I am talking about the Chelsy not everyone knows about. I am talking about the mountain fairy I met at Mount Halo. The feisty yet gentle lady who took care of me at the Mount Halo. Chelsy took a sip from her glass and let out a heavy sigh. She cleared her throat and said, Well, I am Chelsy Powers from Wolverton. I have an elder brother called Lionel, and he lives with his family in Wolverton. My best friend Rachel also lives in Wolverton. I lost my dad 6 years ago. He was the absolute love of my life. I love seafood and I love to sing too. I think that is all there is to me. All through as she spoke, Hank was staring at her. He said in a low voice that sounded like a whisper, I am so sorry about your dad, Chelsy. Chelsy just nodded without saying anything. Then Hank asked, You didn't make mention of your mom. Is she in Wolverton too? This was a question Chelsy dreaded. Whenever someone asked about her mother, she would get upset. Her face slightly narrowed before she quickly snapped out of it. Hey, have you tried these shrimp? They are so good. Hank knew she was avoiding the question and didn't press further. He sent his hand across the table and held Chelsy's hand. His touch was comforting and reassuring. The kind of touch which said, I have got you. It is okay not to say anything. The kind of touch which said, I understand if you don't want to talk about it. Even though Hank didn't say anything, Chelsy could feel every unspoken word. Hank tried to say something, but a single word didn't come out of his mouth. Seemed as if Hank was having difficulties saying what was on his mind. Although the weather was a little chilly, there were bits of sweat on his forehead. When Chelsy noticed how tensed he was, she became worried. With a voice that was laced with concern, she asked, Hank, is everything okay? Hank could see the worry in her eyes. He took Chelsy's hand into both of his. He knew this was the moment to say whatever it is that was on his mind. If he didn't seize this opportunity, he was not sure another one would come. He cleared his throat and replied, My little fairy, I know what I am about to say may come as a shock to you, but I think I am very certain about it. He took a deep breath and continued, Chelsy, I am in love with you. He confessed, the words spilling out like a sweet melody in the night. Chelsy almost fell out of her chair. Her eyes widened, reflecting the shimmering lights around them, a mixture of surprise and delight that could light up the whole alley. Wait, what? She exclaimed, her voice tumbling out in disbelief. Her heart raced like it was running a marathon, each beat a drum echoing the revelation. The world around her blurred, the vibrant street below them, swirling into a dreamy palette, as if someone had suddenly cranked up the saturation. You love me? Like love me, she stammered, her voice a mix of disbelief and something she could not explain. The shock was just too much for her to bear. She didn't even know what to say. Felt as if the words in her mouth had vanished into thin air and left her verbally impaired. Hank continued, I don't know when I developed these feelings. Maybe it was the very first day we met at Mount Halo. Chelsy, who had been dumbstruck, finally blinked her eyes. Her mouth, which had been open due to the shock, finally closed as she struggled to let words out of her mouth. She stuttered as she spoke in a voice that sounded like a whisper. Hank, I don't know what to say. Hank gently squeezed her hand and said in his deep, husky voice, My little fairy, I didn't express my feelings so that you will act on them immediately. Please just give me a chance to court you. Will you please give me that honor? Hank waited patiently as the ball was now in Chelsy's court. As Chelsy met Hank's earnest gaze, her heart leaped. The cityscape around them twinkled like stardust, and in that magical moment, she realized love could indeed turn a simple evening into an unforgettable treasure. Chelsy just nodded and said nothing. After having an amazing evening, Hank drove Chelsy back to her apartment. While standing at the door, he held Chelsy's hand and spoke in his usual deep and husky voice. Thank you for making my evening special, my little fairy. I meant everything I told you tonight. He bent down and placed a gentle kiss on Chelsy's cheek. Chelsy's knees felt like they might buckle at any moment, but she straightened up and held the wall for dear life. Good night, Chelsy. Please dream of me. He turned and walked back to his car. This sent chills down Chelsy's spine. Chelsy stood there like a planted sculpture. still in disbelief that the famous, wealthy, and handsome Henry Fitzwilliam had confessed his feelings to her. But there was something still holding her back. She rushed into her apartment and couldn't wait to call her best friend Rachel. When the call got connected on the second ring, Rachel's bubbly voice echoed through the phone. "Hey, baby girl. How was your date with Mr. Delicious?" Chelsy didn't know how to react. She was tongue-tied for a second before speaking. "Ratch, it was amazing. Hank actually confessed his feelings to me." Before she could continue, Rachel screamed through the phone, "Holy Mary, Mother of God! Chels, I hope you said yes." Chelsy raised her eyebrows. "No, I didn't," Chelsy replied. "What? Chelsy, how could you say no to the Henry Fitzwilliam?" Rachel fired back. "Did your enemies hold an annual general meeting against you?" Chelsy couldn't hold in her laughter when Rachel said her last sentence. "I didn't say no either," Chelsy replied. "Ratch, the truth is, I don't even know how I feel towards him. I don't know if I should classify this as love or gratitude. Truth is, I actually like his company. I feel truly safe and seen whenever I am around him. But I am still scared that he might hurt me, after everything I have been through with Ken." Rachel cursed under her breath. "I blame that son of Pharaoh called Kenneth Robert. It is because of that jerk that you are scared of falling in love. Ratch, he told me I should give him a chance to court me. I guess the more I spend time with him, I will be able to figure out my feelings." Rachel let out a heavy sigh of relief and said, "Chels, I know what you've been through, okay? Just give Hank a chance. I am sure he is a good guy. From everything he has done for you, it takes only a man who is truly invested in you to do all those things for you. So just give it a thought, okay?" Two girls spoke for another hour and finally ended the call. The next day, when Chelsy woke up, she felt quite energized. It was 9 o'clock in the morning when she checked her phone. Hank had sent her a text message. "Hey, my lady. Good morning, hope your night was great and you dreamed of me. Please call me when you wake up. Yours truly, future boyfriend." Chelsy almost choked on her spit when she read Hank's last line. "Yours truly, future boyfriend? This guy is so cheeky," Chelsy muttered as she started laughing uncontrollably. Just like on cue, her phone started ringing. On the screen was the name Hank. Her face brightened as she answered the call. "Mr. Future Boyfriend, huh? How cheeky," Chelsy asked, trying so hard not to laugh. "Good morning to you too, Miss Future Girlfriend. Hope you slept well and dreamed of me because I dreamed of you." Chelsy raised her eyebrows and asked, "And what did you dream about?" Hank let out a little mysterious laughter and replied, "It's best I don't tell you. I will tell you when next we meet." Two laughed as they spoke. When the they call ended, Chelsy felt as if she was on cloud 9. She decided to change how she saved Hank's name on her phone. She changed it to Cheeky Hank. She looked at the name again and let out a soft laughter. Hank made it a routine to send Chelsy a text message every morning to find out how she slept, and he would also call her during her when she got back from work to find out how her day was. That morning, Chelsy had woken up, expecting to see a message from Hank, but he had not sent her a text. It was arranged because she was already used to seeing his messages first thing in the morning. She decided to send him a text message asking how his night was. There was no reply. Chelsy had to prepare for work and didn't want to put so much meaning into it. Her day in the office was quite busy and hectic. Their new manager, Amelia Johnson, was a very stern woman. Since Chelsy's team was in charge of handling the communication with the upcoming annual robotics summit, herself and Cleopatra had to draft the various speeches for the different stakeholders who were to be in attendance. They had met with different journalists who were going to conduct the interviews on that day and even set up follow-up meetings with the marketing department to ensure that everything was going according to plan. She didn't realize it, but she had missed lunch. She took out her phone to check if Hank had replied, but there was still no response. She stepped into the stairwell and dialed Hank's number. It rang for a long time, but Hank didn't answer. This was strange. Hank would never ignore her calls. Even when he was busy, he would send her a quick text saying he was probably in a meeting or would call back later. Chelsy became worried. She sent him a quick text. "Hey Hank, I have tried reaching you several times today. Hope you are okay. Please let me know once you see my text. I am worried." She pressed send and went back to the office. The day had come to an end and Chelsy was standing at the bus stop, waiting. Suddenly, Daniel's black SUV stopped in front of her. Daniel whined down the car window and smiled at Chelsy. "Hey Chelsy, are you on your way home? Hop in and let me give you a ride home." Chelsy wanted to turn him down but decided not to. She stepped in and Daniels asked his driver to take them to Chelsy's apartment. The driver nodded as they drove away. Chelsy contemplated asking Daniel about Hank but decided not to. "This is so silly, Chelsy. Don't do it. He might think that you are stalking his cousin," Chelsy thought to herself. Then suddenly Daniel's phone started ringing. It was Gina on the line. "Hey Gina, how is naughty boss of yours feeling now?" Chelsy's heart skipped a beat when she heard this. She couldn't hear what Gina was saying, but her ears were alert, capturing everything that Daniel said. She could hear Daniel asking Gina if he had taken his medications. The few minutes Daniel and Gina talked felt like a whole century to Chelsy. Immediately Daniel ended the call. Chelsy jumped on him like a tigress, latching into his suit jacket like a koala. "Mr. Maximilian, what is wrong with Hank? Is he okay?" Chelsy's reaction had Daniel startled. When Chelsy realized what she had done, she gently let go of Daniel's jacket and stuttered on her words. "Sir, I am so sorry." There was a mischievous look in Daniel's eyes. "Hank, you will have to thank me later," he thought to himself. He changed his expression to a sullen one. He cleared his throat as he spoke. "Well, Chelsy, you see, Hank has not been well since last night. I just spoke with Gina and she said he hasn't had anything to eat since morning and he hasn't taken his medications." Chelsy didn't let Daniel finish when she cut him short. "Please take me to the hospital where he is." Daniel smiled inwardly as he finally got the reaction he wanted from Chelsy. "He is at home. I will gladly take you to him." He ordered his driver to take them to Hank's house. Hank's house was located in the most exquisite part of London. Perched atop a shimmering skyscraper, the stunning penthouse, which was called El Corazon, exuded luxury and sophistication. Floor-to-ceiling windows filled the expansive living space with natural light, revealing panoramic views of the iconic skyline. The Shard, the London Eye, and Big Ben proudly adorned the horizon. Inside, sleek marble floors glistened beneath a crystal chandelier, while plush velvet sofas invited relaxation. The air was filled with subtle aromas of fresh lilies, intertwining with the faint scent of leather from the designer furnishings that graced the space. The walls had rare paintings from artists like Claude Monet and Leonardo da Vinci. This whole house didn't only reflect wealth, it was screaming insane wealth. Chelsy's mouth almost touched the floor when she stepped inside. She thought Ken's house was the most beautiful house she had ever seen. But compared to Hank's penthouse, Ken's house was like a single grain of rice in a bag full of rice. Daniel cleared his throat, which jolted Chelsy back to reality. Nathan came out from one of the rooms and greeted the two. "Mr. Maximilian, Miss Powers, welcome." Chelsy nodded with a smile. Daniel walked up to Nathan and whispered something into his ears and walked back to Chelsy. "Chelsy, I have an important call to make. I will be back shortly." He stepped out of the door. Little did Chels know that Daniel wasn't coming back. She sat on the couch and Nathan walked up to her. "Miss Powers, Mr. Fitzwilliam is feeling so weak. He can't come out. He hasn't eaten anything today and has refused eating anything I made." Chelsy felt a pain in her heart. Okay, Nathan. I will take it from here. Please, do you have lentil, kale, chicken, and some lemon at home? Nathan nodded and said he would lay them in the kitchen. He directed Chelsy to where Hank's bedroom was. Chelsy gave a gentle knock on the door. She creaked the door open as she entered a dimly lit room. Hank was lying on his side and his back facing the door. With a croaking voice that sounded like that of an old frail frog, he spoke gently. Daniel, I have told you it to bug me today. I don't want to. Chelsy tried so hard not to laugh. Seeing Hank act so naughty was a rare sight. She walked closer and stood at the foot of the bed. Is that the reason why you didn't return my texts nor my calls? When Hank heard Chelsy's voice, his eyes that were shut opened wide. He muttered under his breath, Chelsy! He slowly turned to be sure his mind was not playing games with him and that he had actually heard her voice. Chelsy walked closer and sat by him. Hank's cheeks and nose were slightly red from the cold he had. Chelsy didn't wait for him to say anything, as she placed her hand on his forehead to feel his temperature. His temperature had dropped, but he was still weak because he hadn't had anything to eat. Chelsy! Before Hank could say anything, Chelsy cut him. I was told you haven't had anything to eat. I will wrap something quick for you. He saw that Chelsy wasn't smiling with him. Hank, I thought we were friends. How could you not tell me that you weren't feeling well? Chelsy was about to stand up from the bed when Hank held her hand. Chelsy! Before he could complete his statement, Chelsy butted in. You know what? Forget about it. She slowly pulled her hand away from Hank and walked out of the bedroom and didn't say anything. This gesture broke Hank's heart. He could feel his head spinning. He didn't know if it was from the cold he had or was it because Chelsy was mad at him. He just muttered under his breath. Oh, sweet Jesus. I will definitely strangle that Daniel with both hands. He picked up his phone from the bedside table and dialed Daniel's number. When the call connected, Daniel said excitedly, Hey H, I am sure you are calling me to thank me. I think I deserve a private jet for this. If there was a way Hank could slap Daniel through the phone, he would probably have slapped him to oblivion. I think you need a punch to reset your brain to start thinking right. How could you bring Chelsy here to see me like this? Daniel was flabbergasted. He thought this gesture would make Hank feel better, but it was the opposite. Come on, Hank. I thought seeing Chelsy would brighten the moody look on yours. The girl was worried since you didn't reply to her text messages and calls. Instead of you thanking me for a job well done, you were acting like a complete psycho. Bro, was your brain slapped when you first came to this world? Anyway, I know deep down you are happy, but that arrogant nature of yours won't admit it. Adios, bro. Daniel let out a cackle as he ended the call. Hank could feel a headache coming. He held the bridge of his nose as he muttered to himself. When God was giving others brothers, he decided to punish me with this crackhead called Daniel. For some reason, there was a smile tugged at the corners of Hank's mouth. Even if he wouldn't admit it to Daniel, he was happy Chelsy was there. Meanwhile, Chelsy was in the kitchen with Nathan, preparing a warm healing soup made of lentil, chicken, kale, and lemon. The aroma itself could wake a dead person. Do you want to try it? Chelsy asked. Nathan nodded. Chelsy scooped some of the soup and placed it in a small bowl for Nathan. When he tasted the soup, it seemed as if his palate was on a rampage. Nathan's eyes shot wide open as he couldn't believe how good the soup tasted. Nathan was well-traveled and he had tasted an unimaginable amount of cuisine from different parts of the world including Africa and Asia. Oh my goodness. Miss Powers, this is so good. How did you learn to cook this well? He asked. Chelsy just smiled. I learned this from my dad. He used to make this for my brother and I whenever we were sick and it really helped. Sometimes I would even fake being sick just so that he could make this. Chelsy scooped some of the soup in a bowl and took it to Hank. When she entered his room, he was still lying down. She walked up to the bed and sat down beside him. Will you sit on the bed or do you want to move over to the couch? Hank had a devilish smile on his face. My hand is a little heavy and the headache is getting worse. He was pretending so as not to eat. But Chelsy wouldn't let that happen. I know those tactics, sir. At least your mouth can open, right? Hank lifted his eyes and looked into Chelsy's eyes. With a tender voice that was as calm as the rays of the evening sun, Hank said as he held Chelsy's hand. My little fairy, I am so sorry. I didn't want to bother you. That is why I couldn't tell you I wasn't feeling fine. Chelsy inhaled and exhaled. It is okay, Hank. But I was so worried that something bad might have happened to you. You really had me so worried. The corners of Hank's mouth rose up into a genuine smile. This brought out his beautiful dimples, making him even more breathtakingly attractive. I am sorry. I promised this would never happen again. Chelsy returned the smile and scooped some of the soup with a spoon. She gently blew on it and asked Hank to open his mouth. Hank hesitated for a second and reluctantly opened his mouth. When he tasted the savory soup, his palate shot up. His whole mouth was in chaos as he had never tasted something this good. Holy cow! This is so good, Chelsy, Hank said while looking up at her. Chelsy gave Hank a soft smile. Thank you, Hank. This was the same reaction I had when I first tasted it. Anyway, finish the soup while I go over to the kitchen and clean up. She handed the bowl to Hank and stepped out. For some time, Hank finished the whole bowl of soup. As he was about getting out of bed, his grandmother called. They spoke for almost 20 minutes before the call ended. He felt much better and energized after eating the soup. He had not stepped out of his room since the previous night. He decided to take the bowl to the kitchen. When he stepped into the kitchen, he couldn't find Chelsy. He called out, but there was no response. He walked over to the living room and found Chelsy curled up on the couch like a delicate whisper of serenity. Bathed in the soft glow of the brightly lit living room, the exhaustion on her face was so eminent, revealing the timeless beauty that seemed to dance even in her slumber. With her jet-black curly hair cascading like silk over the cushions and her breath gentle as a breeze, she resembled a dove, cradled in the arms of peace. Each sigh she released told stories of dreams yet to unfold, wrapping the room in a tranquil embrace. She was exhausted. Her day had been a tiring one at work. But she ran over to see him and even stayed up cooking for him. Hank bent down and pushed the strand of hair that was on her face. Jay wished he could look at her beautiful face like this every day. Little fairy, he gently called out. Chelsy slowly opened her eyes. The world around her was still, save for the rhythmic ticking of the clock that seemed to mock her slumber. Suddenly, realization crashed over her like a wave. With a startled gasp, she shot upright, her heart pounding a staccato in her chest. Oh, I am so sorry. Hank, I dozed off. The words escaped her lips in a rush, laced with frantic energy and sincere embarrassment. Her cheeks flushed a rosy hue as she glanced around. Hank's brow raised in playful surprise, held back a chuckle, his presence a calming anchor amidst her whirlwind of apology. In that fleeting moment, time stood still, bridging the gap between her unexpected nap and the gentle reality awaiting her. She checked the time and it was already 10:45 p.m. Oh my gosh. Hank, I have to hurry back home. I have to be at work early. She searched for her purse and was about stepping away when Hank held her hand. With a gentle voice, he spoke calmly. Chelsy, slow down, okay? I will take you home. Chelsy protested. No, Hank. You aren't feeling too well. I will take a taxi home. Hank didn't listen to what she said. He turned to Nathan. Nathan, please ask Asher to get the car ready. We are taking Chelsy home. He went into his room and put on a warm jacket and stepped back into the living room. The journey didn't take long and they arrived at Chelsy's apartment. Two sat in the car for a few seconds before Hank spoke. Chelsy, Thank you so much for coming today and making me that wonderful soup. Chelsy smiled. That was nothing, Hank. I know that if I was in that situation, you would have done the same, if not more. They sat wrapped in a silk-thin silence, hearts pulsing in unison. Their eyes locked, a universe of unspoken words swirling between them. The outside world faded away, leaving only the soft hum of the engine and the electric tension lingering in the air. Time stood still as they shared a moment both fragile and fierce, an intimate dance of souls as they gazed deeply into each other's eyes, discovering the hidden corners of one another's hearts. Just when their lips were about to touch, this intimate moment was disrupted by a call. Hank pressed his lips together as he reluctantly pulled back. Call jolted Chelsy back to reality. She stuttered as she spoke. Hank. I have to go, good night. She bolted out of the car like Usain Bolt, with her face as red as a cooked lobster. When Hank checked the phone, it was Daniel calling. He let out an evil laughter as he answered the call. Daniel's bubbly voice rang through the phone. Hey H. How did it go with our little Miss Mountain Fairy? I am sure you guys sealed the deal today with a kiss. Daniel didn't know the damage he had caused. He didn't know Hank was about to explode like a grenade. Hank tightened his jaws as he spoke with a cold voice that could slice the air. Daniel Maximilian Fitzwilliam, make sure you prepare your coffin when next we meet, because I will personally ensure I send your remains to the morgue. He ended the call and asked Asher to take him back home. Sure just nodded. Poor Asher was hanging for dear life as his eyes were watering with tears. He was trying so hard not to laugh at the frustrated Hank, who was just cock-blocked. He knew Daniel wasn't going to hear the end of it. What will Hank do to Daniel after cock-blocking him? To know what happens next on the series, stay tuned for another exciting episode of your favorite audio series Unappreciated Treasure, which will be coming soon. Toodles.